The Burnaby South by-election is less than a month away. NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh is busy campaigning in that riding, hoping to win a seat in Parliament. And in public, his team is showing its support.
Very confident he's going to win.
I'm confident Jagmeet Singh will be a member of Parliament and will win Burnaby South.
The only fair result of when he does win is that it should actually put to rest some of this chatter that's going on.
But behind the scenes, members of his party tell CBC there is more than just a seat on the line if Singh loses this race. Hannah Thibodeau joins us now with some exclusive details. Hey, Hannah, tell us what might happen if Mr. Singh loses that seat.
You saw all the support from his caucus there on camera. However, we have spoken with some senior NDP MPs and other MPs behind the scenes about what would happen if he loses that by-election. And really, it's do or die for Mr. Singh because there will be a lot of pressure on him to step aside if he does not win this by-election. It's not a gimme for him to win this one either. This is going to be a pretty close race. So behind the scenes, we have heard that back in June, there was a meeting with senior NDP MPs as well as along with Jagmeet Singh. And what they said to him was essentially that failure in Burnaby would be failure of your leadership. You have to go in, you have to be all in on this if you want it. This is when he was contemplating running in Burnaby South, because of course he's not from Burnaby South. So they said he understood that. He felt he was good at campaigning, he was good on the doorsteps with people. But not only that, we contacted Radio Canada and CBC contacted quite a few NDP MPs, and 9 of them who contacted us back said that if he lost, he could not stay on as leader, that he would lose legitimacy as leader. So they didn't want to be identified, of course. However, we did speak with Carl Belanger, who was the former chief of staff to Tom Mulcair. Take a listen to what he had to say.
It is self-evident that if you lose a by-election, if you cannot win in the People's Republic of Burnaby, where can you win? So I think Mr. Singh knows that, and I think he's trying to show to everybody that he's going to win that seat and then lead the party in the next general election.
Ouch. If you can't win in Burnaby, the People's Republic of Burnaby, where can you win? And I think that's what a lot of the NDP MPs are thinking. Now, they are saying, look, we're pretty confident he is going to win there, but when pressured to say, asked if he lost, what would happen? These 9 NDP MPs, and they're from 3 provinces. It's not just one province going, hey, look, this is not acceptable, that he would have to step aside.
So what would happen if in fact, and it's a big if, we don't know what's going to happen in that by-election, but say he does lose, he does have to step aside, like what happens next?
Here's what else we learned. We have learned that there is a plan B being planned by the backroom people. And this includes many different scenarios, but let me tell you one of those potential scenarios. I have all of them in my online piece, just if you want to go to that. But one of the potential scenarios is that they would choose an interim leader. The caucus would choose an interim leader. That would have to be approved by the federal council, and then they would go into the election campaign with an acting leader. I know. I wish people could see her face. An acting leader. Yeah, exactly. There it is. And then hold a leadership race after, because there is no way to get another leader in place if there is no leadership race. So that's a part of it. So that's a part of all of these plan Bs that are going on behind the scenes, just in case he doesn't win that seat. So take a listen to Peggy Nash. She's a former NDP MP and also a former leadership hopeful in the past. Take a listen to what she has to say about that plan B.
I like to play chess, and I always think a few moves ahead, and I always have backup plans. I would think that's just good, sound management to want to have contingency plans for whatever happens.
So voila, contingency plans. You have to have a plan B. We did contact Mr. Singh today about all of this chatter behind the scenes as well. We asked him repeatedly, 3 times I think it was, that our producer asked him in Burnaby South today, if he did lose this race, would he stay on as leader? Because he told Rosemary Barton on the National that yes, he would remain leader into the upcoming federal election. Here's what he had to say today.
I'm confident we're going to win here. I'm confident that people are feeling let down by Mr. Trudeau's government. I'm confident people need us in their corner because they haven't felt like someone's been in their corner. And I'm confident if we continue working hard, we are going to win in Burnaby South because people need us and we're going to fight hard for them.
So there was no real answer there today. It was quite interesting because she did strongly ask the question 3 times, and he clearly was avoiding that question. And when it comes to what he thought about the chatter behind the scenes, he just felt that he didn't really need to even address that. He wants to focus on the fight in Burnaby South and continue on from there. But remember, if he does win in Burnaby South, as they're all hoping he does, that puts him in the House of Commons. He still has a tough ride from there too, because he will have to go after his opponents on a daily basis. People will be watching how he performs there. You know, the caucus, will they let go of this internal chatter that's going on? They say yes, you know, many say yes, because this is kind of like, here's some money in the leadership piggy bank. You know, you got some clout now because you won the race. And also, you know, he has to prepare for a federal election. That's really just months away. So there's still lots of work for him to do if he wins that race too.
It's less than a month to go to that by-election. Very exciting.
February 25th.
Yes, mark your calendars. Thank you, Hannah.
You're
The
welcome.
CBC's Hannah Thibodeau with that exclusive.
I will be the leader that runs the New Democratic Party into the next federal election without any doubt.
That was NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh earlier this month, answering questions about whether he will stay on as leader if he loses the February 25th by-election in Burnaby South. As Hannah Thibodeau reported off the top of the show, he may not be the one deciding. Welcome back to Power and Politics and the Power Panel. Stockwell Day, Rob Silver, Andrew Thompson, and Marie Vastel. So what Hannah reported off the top of the show was essentially that senior caucus members had sort of spoken to her and told her that you know, he couldn't stay on if he lost, and there was even a plan B in the works. Andrew, what does that tell you?
Plan A needs to work for Mr. Singh. Yeah. As long as they stay focused on Plan A, then things will play out as expected. But there are a couple of, I think, challenges to a Plan B scenario, not least of which is there is not an easy mechanism to replace your leader between conventions. So it's good that they're thinking about other options in case Mr. Singh decides not to stay on, but my sense is right now it's gung-ho on Plan A, and let's see what plays out.
It might be good they're thinking about it, but Rob, is it good that they're talking about it?
Well, I mean, that was one of the things that struck me about Hannah's piece, which is a great piece of reporting, but why were MPs talking to her like this? It's never a good thing in any party, and the Liberal Party has certainly been guilty of this at various times in my lifetime, when you're talking about leadership this close to an election. The other problem for the NDP is their best case scenario right now is Jagmeet Singh does win the Burnaby by-election and shows up in Ottawa, and everybody's really excited. He did it. And unless he gets better, they're going to quickly realize, my God, he is our leader. He won. We succeeded. There's no plan B. That's the guy. And the fundraising isn't happening. We saw yesterday end-of-year fundraising numbers. The number of candidates that they've nominated is staggeringly low. So their best-case scenario that they're seemingly hanging all their hats on is not super awesome for them. And the worst-case scenario, like having a leadership where you're going to appoint an interim leader, go into the campaign saying, this is the guy we're saying, or woman, is going to be prime minister, but we'll choose a different leader maybe after the election. That doesn't work. People don't vote that way in Canada. We may have a parliamentary system, but we think in presidential terms. And if you're running as leader of one of the parties and you don't really have the job, it's just not on. So they're not in an awesome position right now.
Stockwell, do you think the questions over Mr. Singh's leadership have an impact on the ground in BC for the by-election? I mean, the questions have been circulating for a long time. Is there a way, though, for him to sort of shrug them off?
They're tough to shrug off. You can't neglect what MPs are saying. I agree with Rob. It's one thing, these type of discussions go on in every caucus, but when you have this amount of caucus members going to the NDP, or going to the media, was that a Freudian slip there? I don't think so. When you've got them going to the media, it's almost like they want to push that fantasy along. And I know there's a number of NDP MPs who really think, I know Rob suggests this will be difficult to get a new leader in place, but they really think that the best case scenario can't unfold even if Mr. Singh wins, and they're really hoping that they could have a new leader there. So that sends out a message out to the folks, the men and women in the ranks, and it just adds to their own indecision and makes them more open to a vote to another party, which obviously would be the Liberal Party, not the Conservatives. The Conservatives would like to see a stronger NDP leader in place. I don't know if they're going to get that wish.
Marie?
I think this is terrible. First of all, I don't know if, well, I mean, these guys would know better than I do, but I find it surprising that this is not uncommon to have a plan B 9 months from an election where you need to change your leader. I would think that in itself is pretty surprising. Then I agree, the fact that MPs are fully recognizing that they told him this is do or die last summer, and now that they're saying this not publicly, but to media, to me is pretty worrying for Jagmeet Singh and his close team, because it indicates that they really don't care if they have to go to Plan B, and it might actually be preferable. Because to Rob's point, as to if he does get elected in Burnaby South and he is in the House of Commons and they realize he's doing a bad job, I think a lot of them already do know that. When you see them in a scrum with him and they see that he doesn't necessarily know his files or know federal policy that closely, you can see that there is a discomfort with a lot of MPs where they realize that it's hard to win an election when you're not convincing because you don't know, you didn't do your homework.
That could change,
well,
though.
except for 2015, where that's exactly what happened. You ended up with a leader who was seen to not be particularly deep on the issues, and he's the prime minister today.
I didn't know, but I think that was the image cultivated prior to the campaign, and then when he was able to show otherwise, maybe not to the same.
I'm just saying that the federal NDP leader is not in the middle of a campaign yet, right?
No, he's not.
So if we
9 months
think about
away.
where we're at.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think his MPs already know that he's not doing a great job.
Especially in Quebec.
And and I would point out that the other thing that's worrisome is that a lot of MPs are not sure they will run again, which is also an indicator of how they think the next election will shape up.
Okay, Andrew wants to respond.
Go ahead.
I just want to sigh.
Yeah, I know.
Look, there's a lot of time between now and then, and I think it is a question as to, if he can win the by-election and he gets a strong showing. Let's remember a week ago, everyone was saying, remember the Liberals were going to have this massive upset in Nanaimo in the BC.
I want to bring that up too.
And all of a sudden, there we are. With
not everyone was saying it, but yeah.
Well, I do give credit to our friend here at CBC, Eric Grenier, for calling out just how bad that poll was. But it's easy for the chattering classes to get caught up in this what if parlor game. Let's see what actually happens on the 25th. Let's see what he performs like in Parliament, and that'll set the stage for the campaign.
Look, one of the best gifts you can have in politics is being underestimated and having low expectations. And it would be hard as of today for Jagmeet Singh to have lower expectations than he has, which I know is a bit of a double-edged comment. So no, of course it's not over. Like, he can recover, he can get better, he can make improvements. People aren't paying attention yet. He will have a chance to introduce him. He just has some structural problems right now.
And if I can say something,
quickly, because I want to get Stock to weigh in on the by-election.
To Stock's point about this helping the Liberals, it absolutely helps the Liberals in terms of winning government or not, but I wouldn't underestimate how much this can help the Green Party. Because again, in Quebec, I've talked to ex-MPs, New Democrat members who are turning to the Green Party, saying that is the progressive voice. They're the ones who actually defend progressive ideas and who we agree with.